Just keep your eyes on the swinging thing. This is the worst induction ever. Today we're talking about hypnosis. Hypnosis is something that has fascinated me for a long time, and actually, hypnosis might seem like a weird thing to some of you out there, but to me, actually, my grandfather was a hypnotherapist, and so hypnosis has just been something that I was exposed to as a young child. Not that I was ever hypnotized or anything, but it was just like a normal thing. Okay, my grandfather is a hypnotherapist, whatever. It's something people do. I'll talk more about him later, but I just want to give you some context that it's something that I've sort of been around my whole life, had a little bit of an interest in, and I just wanted to talk about it a little today because I think it's a very interesting thing that doesn't get talked about a lot, even though it seems like there are a lot of other things that we value in society today that fit right along with hypnosis. So first of all, what is hypnosis? Well, nobody's really sure. There's just like theories on it. And first of all, what it's not is it's not what you see on TV where they have like a stage hypnotist who's like, when I snap my fingers, you're going to do a somersault across the stage or whatever. Stage hypnosis is not really it's not really what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is like actual hypnosis, which is at its most basic understanding a state of heightened suggestibility. And the thing to understand that, is a big misconception because of TV and because of stage hypnotists is that you lose control once you're hypnotized, which isn't true. When you're hypnotized, you're still in control. You can come out of it anytime you want. It's a willingness, it's a willing state of being relaxed and more open. That's really all it is. It's not quite as magical. There's not quite as much glitz and glamour to it as the television programs would want you to believe. Now, even within the hypnosis community, there is some disagreement about what hypnosis actually is, and it basically falls into one of two camps. One camp says there is actually like a hypnotized state, like a trance that you go into when you're hypnotized. You're on a different brainwave. And then another camp says, no, you're not actually in another state of mind. You are just more focused in on one thing, which makes you more open to suggestion. And the thing about hypnosis is those are just theories. No one knows. I think what can be agreed upon though is that there is something to hypnosis. Like it's not just some made up BS. Like there's actually something real going on when people are getting hypnotized. Now, of course, you can be hypnotized by someone else, by a hypnotherapist, but did you know you can also use self-hypnosis? You can learn how to put yourself into that state. Now, hypnotherapy is often used, it's used for a lot of things, but I feel like it's most commonly used to make lifestyle changes or to maybe work through maybe negative past events, things like that. Sometimes hypnosis is also used for like memory recall to like bring up repressed memories, but that is a little bit suspect because how do you know that it's a real memory or if it's just being like suggested by the hypnotist or just being confabulated? But people use hypnosis for lifestyle changes, I say. For instance, like you want to quit smoking, so you go to some hypnotherapy and you get suggested, you open yourself to the suggestion that I don't want to smoke anymore. Or losing weight, you can use hypnotherapy to program your mind to want to eat less. And in a way, hypnosis, in my mind at least, is kind of related to meditation, which is one of the reasons why I'm surprised hypnosis isn't a bigger thing, because meditation is ubiquitous nowadays. But the difference is that meditation is sort of like, it's trying to allow yourself to become unattached to your thoughts and kind of not force yourself to have a clear mind, but to allow your thoughts to dissipate and to have a clear mind. Whereas hypnosis is, you're clearing your mind, but it's because you're focusing on one thing. And this thing is a suggestion, something that you're trying to internalize. And in a way, I guess you could say that hypnotism is related to affirmations. You know, like when you look in the mirror in the morning and you say, I am powerful. Say it just like that. I feel empowered. It seems to me like affirmations are like trying to beat something into a brick wall, and hypnosis is trying to soften the wall up a little bit before beating it in, you know? That is a weird analogy, but it's just related in my mind. Now, the way I've thought about it, which might put me more in the camp of people who think that you actually go into a hypnotic state, a trance of some kind, is that the hypnotic state of being more open to suggestion is kind of like the place in between waking and sleeping. It's not exactly the same, but it's a slightly different brainwave. Do you know, like, when you first wake up in the morning and you're kind of in a weird state and thoughts go through your head in a different kind of way, and sometimes when you're still lying in bed in the first 30 seconds after you wake up, you get all these ideas that are going through your head and they just seem different to you. Maybe they seem better than they are, they seem more real. Things are just flowing in a different way because your whole brain hasn't woken up. The judging part of your brain is still kind of hazy and asleep. To me, that is what hypnosis sort of is like, is it's relaxing you to a point where you're in between wakefulness and sleeping in a way where you are more open to these ideas. Your brain is working in a slightly different way, with parts of it relaxed or perhaps turned off temporarily. And speaking of turning something off temporarily, why don't we go to a quick commercial? Introducing Hypnosis, the hypnotherapist who is also a pug. Available now for only $10.99.99. Thanks for sitting through that commercial. So basically the way that hypnosis works is you follow a hypnotic induction, whether that is someone else who's inducing you into hypnosis or if it's yourself doing it. And it starts off basically, and you can find inductions on YouTube. A lot of them aren't very good, but they just start off with a lot of getting you relaxed, and it's usually someone who has a very calming voice, who's like you feel very relaxed, and you just want to sit back and relax every muscle in your body and let your eyes close. And then oftentimes it will lead you on a kind of visualization where it takes you to a peaceful place, like, oh, you're walking along a beach and now you find a chair to sit down in and the waves are lapping and you just relax and you feel so free and you feel all the tension leave your body. And it goes on and on like that, to the point where it's like you're feeling very relaxed. Sometimes they'll even go so far as to say you just want to sleep. And that's where the stereotypical "you're getting very sleepy" comes from, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to get you to be kind of sleepy. They don't want you to go to sleep, though. They want you to be awake, so they'll often say, concentrate on the sound of my voice. Concentrate only on that. So it's a way of like keeping you in the world, but putting you into a more relaxed, trance-like state. And you know, sometimes in real life, hypnosis is real life too. In your everyday life, you will experience hypnotic states, I think, without even intending to or realizing it. Even if it's just like watching a movie and you just get really focused in on it, and then once the movie's over, suddenly it's like, whoa, where am I? That's similar to a hypnotic state in some ways. Once they get you into that relaxed state, then they start making suggestions. And, you know, for instance, if you want to stop smoking, it can be stuff like, and I'm not exactly sure what the script would be, but I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, it's stuff like, whenever I see a pack of cigarettes, I don't even want to open them. I don't want to touch them. Whenever I put a cigarette in my mouth, it doesn't taste good, doesn't feel good. Hypnotherapy can be very useful if you're trying to make changes in your life, even if it's just, something like I'm trying to be less anxious. You can use it for that, or trying to stop obsessing over something. Using hypnosis as a way of focusing your brain in and redirecting your energy so that you don't spend it doing things you don't want to do. I brought up stage hypnosis before, kind of like the showy thing where someone gets up, brings volunteers onto the stage, and then hypnotizes them and has them do funny things like, dance like a chicken and whatever. Now, the thing is, with stage hypnosis, I'm not saying that it's all fake, because I'm sure that there is something really going on here. I mean, the one thing that's suspect about it is a real, actual hypnosis session takes like a fairly long time. And so in a stage show, how quickly do they hypnotize those people? It's like fairly fast, isn't it? I've never seen it, so I could be wrong, but it seems to me like they're not going to spend a half hour of a stage show trying to hypnotize volunteers from the audience, because everyone else in the audience will get bored. Part of it is that, the people who get on stage are generally open to wanting to help out the hypnotist. So the stage hypnotist will say something like, they should be open and say, this ain't gonna work if you don't want it to work, which is true in real hypnosis. If you don't want to be hypnotized, you can't be hypnotized. You have to be willing and open to it. So already that's going to weed out the skeptics who just want to ruin the show, because the hypnotist will just be like, look, it's not going to ruin the show, because I'm telling you right now, if you don't want to be hypnotized, you won't be. And the stage hypnotist will make a bunch of other statements that'll kind of get people to come to the stage, or he'll pick out the people that he sees are the most willing to go along with it, who seem like they want to perform a bit, and who are going to be the most open to suggestion. And then once the people get onto the stage, it seems to me like part of it is just there's this expectation and peer pressure of, wow, he's telling me to do this stuff, I should just go along with it or else it'll be embarrassing. But I think there's also an element of going along with the act, not necessarily because it's fake, but because it's like, and it's people who want to perform anyway, but now they have the added extra element of not really being fully responsible for what they do, right? Now that's just what it seems to me. I could be wrong. Maybe these people are actually being hypnotized, but that just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not exactly sure though, because I've never been to a show like that. I've never known anyone who's been in one. And it'd be interesting if any of you in the comments section have been hypnotized on stage before, if you know someone who has, and what your experience was. But it's important to note that a stage hypnotist or any hypnotist cannot take control of you. You will not lose control. You'll not have like amnesia about what happened. That's just not how it works. So I talked about my grandfather. He was a hypnotherapist. When I was a little kid, I remember I was like, 4 or 5 years old. He actually had an office, and I went and visited it, a few times as a kid. To be honest with you, I have never been hypnotized. I've been very interested in it. I've tried, I've done self-hypnosis, and the thing is, I say I've never been hypnotized, but I've probably been in hypnotic states that, the thing is, it's a little disappointing maybe when you're expecting a hypnotic state to be like this wah, 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 kind of trance, but it's actually a lot more subtle than that, and it doesn't really feel like, it doesn't feel like you've been on LSD or something. It just, it's like something that maybe you don't even notice. You just feel very relaxed. I think that's really all it is. And if you're expecting for a hypnotic state to be some kind of like out-of-body experience, you're going to be disappointed. But my grandfather treated lots of people, and it was usually for stuff like quitting smoking and losing weight. And eventually he moved his practice just to be in the basement of his home. And I don't know if this is going to violate some patient doctor confidentiality thing, but I don't see why it would, since everyone involved is dead now. But one day I wasn't there, but I think my brothers and cousins were at my grandparents' house, and this guy came in who was, the next appointment for my grandfather. He didn't have them very often by that point. He had maybe one a month at most. And so to get to the basement, this guy had to go through the house, and, he said hello to the people, like my cousins, my aunts and uncles who were there. Probably a little awkward. Oh, hey, I'm here to be hypnotized. Hey, strangers watching TV. And my grandmother was like, I don't know, maybe my grandmother was like, that guy looks familiar. And then, the guy had his hypnotherapy session. I can't be sure what it was for. It was probably just for like quitting smoking or something. And the guy left, drove away. And I don't know who put it together, my uncle or someone. And he was like, I think that was Tom Clancy, the author. And it turned out it was Tom Clancy who had gone to see my grandfather for hypnotherapy. And what's hilarious is that my grandmother was like a huge Tom Clancy fan, probably had his novel sitting on the desk there, and the man himself walks by. They don't know who he is until after he's gone. So that's one of the famous stories in my family, the day that Tom Clancy came to the house and no one knew who he was. And to the Tom Clancy estate, I apologize if this information is confidential, but there's nothing particularly embarrassing about it. It's not like he was getting treatment for, syphilis or something. So that's my big long episode about hypnosis. This is going to be a joy and a pleasure to edit. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had any experience with hypnosis and what you think about all this. And make sure that when I snap my fingers, you like this video and subscribe and hit the bell button.